Welcome back to the Corridor Digital Podcast, guys. This week,
Do that again. Do that again. You went into the Matrix like right as you started speaking.
did I?
Yeah, it was rough. It was really rough.
Okay, ready? And welcome back to the Corridor Digital Podcast, guys. This week, we're all gonna do it again. Do it again.
It's like when it switches to you, it gives you a brief like, welcome back to Good Podcast.
Hello.
You get one more try, and if it still does it, then that's it.
Welcome back.
Dude.
Do it again.
It's okay. That's like the vibe of the podcast, which is
jank. That is the vibe of this podcast. Guys, if you came here for excellence, go to Corridor Digital YouTube. If you want jank, come here. Okay. Is it working, though? Is it working? I mean, one more time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
that's working.
Welcome back to, I think we've already started, actually. I don't think we're going to cut any of that.
all right. And such are the troubles of a Zoom meeting.
And here we go, guys.
Zoom.
We're on Zoom. We're live again this week, right here with you.
That was great.
Back for another podcast.
Yeah,
We heard that the quarantine is going to be over this week, so we're all going to go out and party together at a nightclub this evening.
Shoulder to shoulder, sweat on sweat.
I heard that since numbers were going down, that we could all just quit quarantining and do whatever we wanted again. Is that right?
You heard wrong, Jake.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
I was getting really excited.
Dang.
Don't worry. Your chance will come.
I am looking forward to going to a party, though. As soon as someone can have a post-quarantine party, I will be at that party.
We're gonna start a club for the ones who are clean, where it's like, look, I've been quarantined for 2 weeks, I'm clean, and then you have a secret handshake.
Yeah, that's established 2 weeks prior and updated daily.
You know what we said when we started this? We weren't going to talk about the coronavirus.
I just had to get it in. I just had to get it in.
He just had to get it in.
I mean, come on.
You know, but that's the thing. I think it would have to be invite only. You can't make it public. You have to be like, hey, you've been sheltering in place, haven't you? Let me fill you in on a little special gathering.
Little secret of mine.
Yeah. But
all right, we'll see. In other news, I know people have been wondering about the editor submissions. I did make a post about this on Instagram last week, but we had over 1,000.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I've been going through them for the last week or so, and I've got 20 to go as of right now, Wednesday evening.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Impressive.
So I've got to get 20 through the 20 more, and then I've got 70, unless all of those 20 go into the review bin. I've got 70 that are in the review bin. I'm going to review those a second time and then send them to everybody. So get ready. There'll probably be about 15 or 20 that I'll ultimately end up sending.
So Jake, when you go through 1,000 videos, at a certain point, you've seen the footage a million times. Well, I guess 1,000 times.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in something like this?
There's a couple things, and it is most certainly video content dependent. Not every video has hard and fast rules, but for the footage that we gave, there are some hard and fast rules. Number one was things that I would look for to tell me if I should continue watching the video or not. Were things like its overall length, just straight up off the bat. If it was over 17, 18 minutes, after having watched about 100 of those to see what people were doing at that length, I realized none of those were really meeting the requirements of
there's no way they can keep it entertaining for that long.
You just can't because there's not enough in the footage.
That's the thing, because it's not footage that we've actually edited ourselves yet, right?
No.
So there's no context for how long it should be, but discovering it through that process. That's
This,
interesting.
yeah, I didn't start by just being like, oh, this video is 20 minutes long. There's no way. But after I watched about 30 of those, and then
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, pretty much every video that's that long can't be entertaining because its length makes it impossible to be that entertaining.
Did you ever go like, all right, 1 minute, let's see what you got for me? Like,
I saw yeah. Well, what I would do is I before I even checked anything, I just click and I'll watch the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that gives you a pretty good idea of what the person's style is. And then from there, I'll scrub and I'll look for things like, did they use B-roll? How do they set up moments? Did they not use music? There's a lot of people who did not use any music at all.
Oh, geez, nothing?
Yeah. If they just edited one story, is that one story over 10 minutes? Because, like just sitting there watching you guys mess around with a crash mat for
it's that quick.
For 12 minutes is like, yeah.
That's
I get it. Yeah. He hits the pad. All right.
Yeah. So then it comes down to things like, did they use motion graphics? How did they use the footage? Did they edit it chronologically? After a while too, you begin to see like the way that it was actually shot chronologically. And like there's a moment in the crash mat footage where Ren decides he's going to run up to the top of the costume loft. And he's going to try to, you sat on that edge. So there's a moment in this footage, and while Ren is going up there, Nick turns the camera and he looks at Clint and Wes, and they do this whole other shtick for about 30 seconds. And then the camera goes back to Ren. A lot of people that were just editing chronologically left that in there exactly in the actual chronological point at which it occurred in time, when there's no real reason to use it there.
Sure.
It's like all you're doing at that point is just scrubbing through, trimming it down, leaving it in chronological order, but you're not utilizing it towards the story, which is the thing that we saw right before that was Ren creating a story point, which is, hey, I'm going to go see if I can jump off of this loft. And now you're cutting away to something and then coming back to it, simply because that's where that happened in real time, but not in service of the story point.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that all over. And when I saw things like that, and then I created tiers just so I didn't like miss anything, so I've got like 5 tiers that I put all the applicants into. And depending on how confident I feel after the first 2 tiers, I can always go into like the 3rd and 4th ones, but I doubt that.
Part of me thinks that you should give the same test. Part of me thinks you should give the same test to both Dean and Matt to see what
Dean and Matt. That's devious.
I mean, that's how they got.
They've already done that test, though.
We should do that. Actually, we should do that for
like that's almost like the new benchmark. Like whatever they come up with should be kind of where the new editors are coming in at.
Yeah. Dean and Matt would probably crush it. Dean and Matt would just knock it out of the park.
Yeah, of course.
It's not fair because they have so much practice now too.
Yeah, now they get it.
On top of that.
Did a lot of people
make a really funny video though?
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Did a lot of people do like the teaser like before the logo? Did it?
Yeah.
And stuff.
Almost everyone did that.
Oh my god! You could do the storyline. Sorry, Dean and Matt are like, hey, we've got an idea. We're gonna reapply for the editors and say we can work remotely, so that way we can get a little bit of extra side work,
Side cash.
We come up with aliases and like
they do edits in the office and then go home and do more.
We have enough
edits.
Free time.
Alias, Dan.
Those working.
And then they're like, oh yeah, we live in Sweden and we can help you edit your video, but we are 8 hours ahead and
it'd be from Sad and Tam. Said and Tam.
Yeah.
That's my horrible accent.
There was a guy from Sweden who did his own brand integration for himself.
Ooh.
Wow, that's pretty clever.
Whoa.
Yeah, there was
Good
2 people that did that. They did integration mid-rolls about how and why they should be hired.
That's pretty great.
That is clever.
That's pretty cool.
That's really fun.
I gotta ask Jake, what percentage of applications didn't follow the directions of name and the format restrictions?
Honestly, only like 0.3%.
0.3. Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
less than 1%.
So everyone was on top of it this time around.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, everyone did a great job with that. So, and we got rid of all the BS stuff came in within the first 24 hours, and then not excluding that, obviously. And then there were some kids that were like, "Hey, I'm 13. I don't want the job, but can you look at my video and tell me how I can do it better?"
Oh wow.
So there's a couple of those. But yeah, we've got 70 left that are like prospective for round 2. So now I have to go through those 70, boil it down, and then that'll be that 20. And then from there we'll reach out to some of them for round 2.
I got a question about those. I got a question about those videos from those kids.
Yeah.
Are any of those videos a video, or if we actually applied the entire studio for a day and like worked on their video, anything there that would have potential for just blowing their minds? Or
I mean, I could pull one up right now.
Wait, was it their own video, or was it the actual edited footage, like as if they were applying for it, not expecting to get the job?
Well, I'll be dead honest with you. I did not look at them, because as soon as they told me in the subject of the email that they were 13 and that they weren't looking to get hired, I just moved on.
That's fair. You do have 1,000 of them to go through.
There's 1,000 of these to get through. Yeah. Let me pull it up. Let's see what this kid's got.
Meanwhile, on this podcast, I guess I'll describe what the video looks like.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Jake, if you share a screen, it will be in the recording.
Yeah, that's true. You can head over to YouTube and watch it there if you're listening to the audio only.
Yeah, if you're listening to audio only, it's on the YouTube version.
We'll still describe it, though.
Here in my internet inbox looking for 13-year-olds.
I just noticed that like my virtual background's like erasing my chair, so it just looks like I'm sitting here like awkwardly holding my elbows outwards. just like constantly like,
constant
standing with my arms just out to the side the whole time. This is my comfortable resting position. Especially when it's a little thumbnail view. Like full screen, you can kind of tell if there's a chair here, but little thumbnail view, it's really weird.
Here you go. Here's one of them. I'm 13 and I'm not looking to get hired. I just want to ask if I did a decent job editing this video and where I could improve. Do you guys want to? If I also had an idea for a future video, if you're interested.
Oh man,
do you guys want to see this?
Yeah, honestly, that's really sweet that he would send us a video and just his edit, wants to see what it's like. So yeah, let's watch it. Let's take a look at this edit.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't even like I know I can't get the job because I'm 13. It's like I don't want the job. I just want the feedback.
His video's privated.
Oh, he changed it.
Okay. Oh well.
Well,
if you're listening to this, change that thing to unlisted, and maybe we'll go back.
That was your chance.
That's your shot.
Yeah, you know that moment in 8 Mile? Well, yeah, you failed.
Dang.
You got mom's spaghetti all over your chest now.
Pretty sure they haven't seen 8 Mile if they're 13.
Isn't 8 Mile older than 13 years old?
That's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure they haven't even seen it. Probably not even old enough to watch it.
Ask your father.
It's too vintage for them.
All right. Well, point is, there was a lot of submissions, and it was humbling to see all of them. And I'm really excited to reach out to the round 2 people. There were a few that when you're watching them and you're slogging through hundreds of these, and you get to that one that's got that shine to it, and you're like, wow, this is actually entertaining, and I'm enjoying it, and it's like creative, and they're doing things that I didn't think of, and they're trying things, and they're making decisions. Feels good.
Decisions.
Yeah,
that's what it is, man. Making decisions. That's art.
Yeah,
that's filmmaking.
Well, you heard it here first. The process is going, and you will get an outreach email if you made it to the next round.
That's right.
Nice.
We'll probably post something on social media when we say those go out to, just so for those of you who didn't make it, you'll know that
yes,
they've been reached out to and so you will have an email to make it to the second round.
So, Ren.
Yeah, what's up? How's it going?
Where's it? You put your hand in the foreground.
Yeah, what do you
What's
hold?
like-
A 2x4?
Yeah, no, just like an IKEA wood slat. I was gonna 3D print an end cap for it and put it up on my wall.
Ren's been doing some
mask.
interesting things since he's been locked up in quarantine. You've been 3D printing like what, your own house or something?
Not quite. I've been trying to have the printers going nonstop this whole time, printing something. Usually it's PPE stuff for healthcare workers. Some like ear protectors for like masks and stuff, because a lot of nurses are getting like rashes on the back of their ears just from having like the straps on them 24/7.
Yeah.
So I've been printing a lot of that. Also, just in my my New Year's resolution that came in early February, I have decided to try to be a lot more organized in my life, and so I've been 3D printing some organizers. I've got like little like wire clips and stuff to help organize my ton of wires, like a little SD card holder thingy.
What caused you to want to make that change in your life?
Mainly my inability to function in life.
Inability to function. Ren, you live life to the fullest.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know how to describe it. It's transitioning to working from home was very difficult for me. And especially just because, I mean, you guys know how cluttered my desk at work can be. At home, it's advanced.
That's true.
So I took a lot of time to like straight up clean everything, reorganize. Actually, my living room looks spectacular now, I will say. And I've just been trying to make an effort to clean off my desk at the end of every day. And part of that is to help have places for things to go. Like I've 3D printed this little drawer thingy. So all these different drawers that go in, and I could print more of these too. You know, it's just on demand. I don't have to wait for 3-week Amazon shipping.
Yeah.
This is the only time in your lifetime where 3D printing will be faster than ordering those little storage things from Amazon.
Yeah.
That's like, 3D printing is really cool, and it's it's spectacular for prototyping, but like the one thing that didn't really take into consideration back when we started was just like how long it takes sometimes. Even just like simple stuff. It's like, oh, it'd be great to have like these little drawers. I wouldn't have to buy them, but like it takes a week to print them versus like, 2 days on Amazon Prime. Now it's not always the case, but in this particular instance, you can get it instantly.
All the time in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really depends what you're trying to print. Yeah, like pretty much the bigger the object, obviously the longer it'll take. But there are some things that are better to print at home, especially if you can like customize it to specifically fit your need. Oh, dang, where'd I put my clamps? I printed like the world's biggest clamp. It's like
I want to see that now.
It's a big green plastic clamp. I think I put it in the garage. I'd have to go get it.
So is that the biggest thing you've
green
printed?
screen clamp?
It is green. You know what? Carry on talking. I will be right back.
All right, Ren's coming back with the clamp.
The clamps. Yeah,
clamps.
organization. I did a lot of that right before Gwen was born, which was not. It was like an inadvertent organization.
Quarantine setup.
The whole quarantine thing
Yeah.
too. And it's definitely paid off.
Did you feel that like pre-child nesting instinct, or was it just part of?
Yeah, no, it was definitely that. Because of but there was also like an element of I was combining offices with Sarah, so I had to like kind of consolidate all the junk that I have in this room here.
Had to put the guitars on the wall.
Well, they already were. I need more freaking wall space. I have too many now. But,
Make a wall out of guitars, dude.
Not a bad idea.
Hang them on the ceiling.
Well, it's not just actually the actual guitar stuff. It's just, you want a desk setup that fits what you do, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because very frequently you just end up having like this slab of wood that you put garbage on, and the more you can like just try and optimize or specialize it towards what you're doing and your use, I think the better. So, all the music gear and stuff, shelves. Velcro strips for like
those layers.
Guitar pedals. Basically, I have like a desktop pedal board now. The whole like sliding keyboard underneath the desk, that saved like half the room. But definitely pays off, and if you have the time to do it, definitely recommend it.
When I get into my new house, I'm gonna start messing with the little music setup. So you're gonna need to help me with that, like we were
Okay.
talking about. But man, that ability to just like right now, I've got the whole video streaming setup, going, and it's really nice to just sit down at my computer and be able to like if we're gonna play a game on Node, know that it's already set up, or if we're gonna chat here, know that it's already set up. It'd be nice to do that with electronic music too. Just sit down and pull up the program and know that you can immediately start recording something.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be nice to get that way eventually, back in the office when we're back into just knowing that Node gaming setup, podcast is set up, just easy. Walk in the room and start rolling.
Definitely.
Whose Discord is still on?
Not mine.
Mine's
That me?
popping off.
I think that might be one of you guys.
You gotta deafen your Discord,
Mine's deafened.
boys.
Not me.
It's going through the microphone somehow. Well, I mean, but
It's-
it's going through my headphones. How would this be picking it up?
I'm hearing it on my side. I don't know.
It might be you.
I deafened my Discord. Deaf, dude. Is it me?
Was you?
If you're hearing it through your own ears and speakers, it's gotta be you.
But it's-
Everyone else has headphones.
I'm just gonna log out. I'm logging out.
So, Ren, did you return with your clamps?
I did. So I printed this clamp to begin with. It was just a small little clamp because I'm doing some battery stuff and I needed to like pin a vacuum cleaner hose to my table. So I was like, this will print overnight, easy, piece of cake. But then I was like, I need a bigger clamp. So I printed this.
That's awesome.
Just a big clamp. It's
Dude, dang it.
it's 3 different pieces here. It's got like this
Dang.
nurbled like grip here at the end.
That's a C clamp. That's a proper C clamp.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's pretty strong. Because I was going through my garage and I found like this a few spools of filament that I bought like 3 years ago and never used. And this green one was it. So I just went ahead and printed this. It took like 23 hours.
Oh, dude, your background is clean.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That whole back. Oh my God. That whole area used to be a disaster zone back there.
I wouldn't call it a disaster, but it was, especially over there.
There was a mess. I don't know.
It was a bit of a mess.
I didn't know that there was not furniture over there. I thought there was furniture over there.
Oh, there used to be a couch right here, but I've since pushed it up against the wall, which is great.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you can accomplish anything now?
Yes, I can accomplish anything I
Never
set
give
my
up.
mind to.
Never give up. So what are you gonna? What kind of video are you gonna make next after your exponential scale video?
Well, I'm working on a script right now for a video, kind of comparing like The Hobbit to Lord of the Rings, but not so much about the movie specifically as much as the method of modern filmmaking in a post-visual effects world. Yeah.
Dang,
Tell us a little bit
son.
more about that. Give us a preview of.
Yeah. Give us a previs.
Totally. Okay, so I haven't finished writing it, but like the general like 3-act structure to this thing is kind of comparing Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit to The Mandalorian. And so in Lord of the Rings, they weren't able to have a lot of CGI and digital sets and all that stuff, so they made everything practically in miniatures and bigatures in a lot of cases, and then put CG creatures or CG elements on top of all that, but using the real plate photography of these miniatures to add to. But that meant is that once they got the footage, they're locked in. They can't alter it or change it or add notes to like the camera move or whatever. That's it. And then, fast forward another 10 years or so, suddenly around the time of Avatar and The Hobbit, Matt Aiken from Weta Digital was explaining this to us on the couch for VFX Artist React when he was here. Is like, he said them and every other VFX house on the planet essentially was making the transition to just doing completely digital environments. And that gave a lot more freedom to the director to control the look of shots. But I'm going to propose that actually is a bit of a downside, kind of like a bad thing, because it gives a little bit too much freedom. It removes the constraints that kind of help feed creativity. And so you started seeing a little bit more of a, like kind of a generic looking washed style of visual effects that you started seeing over the last 10 years or so. And then fast forward again to actually putting that creative control back into the hands of the camera workers, the cinematographer, the director on set, with the whole idea of virtual productions and LED walls, being able to capture everything in camera. Of fantasy, like for Mandalorian, they shot, I don't know, like over a dozen different fantasy places. Like, you know, no TV show could have possibly shot at all these places on the budget that they are shooting on. And they were able to do it all in one studio, which traditionally you'd have to do in a green screen room, which would have cost a tremendous amount of money and would have been a huge pain and wouldn't have looked that good. So that's kind of like how this all plays out. And then I'll have to figure out some sort of thing to say to tie it all together and give it some meaning. So yeah.
So, well, that's kind of in line with the stuff that you've been playing around with, Sam, on the last part of that conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's just like after visiting that Lux stage, it's been really inspiring. So I've just committed a lot of my free time over the last few months to figuring out how to use Unreal to do pretty similar stuff. Obviously, we won't have the giant multi-million-dollar LED wall kind of setup, but I think you can just do the whole thing virtually, just characters, environments, everything. And yeah, it will kind of look like a video game, but you know, you just for now create content that kind of fits that look.
So your first foyer into this.
Yeah, well, no,
You guys are developing right now.
We had a little session about this today, but I was thinking, all right, we're all in quarantine, you know, we're all hunkered down, we're not meeting up for physical shoots, so what's a thing that we can do with that constraint? And so very quickly we just got to the idea of like, let's do like one of those VFX Artist React parodies, except it's video game characters talking about video games as if it's a working profession for them. So basically right now I've got Clint, Nico, I've got myself, I've got like face tracked models that were scanned of everyone.
Not gonna lie, from what I've seen so far, sorry to interrupt, but the fidelity of the models for you, Nico, and Clint are quite impressive. They've got a certain amount of like obvious jank to them, but at the same time, it's also like higher quality than I would have expected.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of plays to the fact that I used photo scans instead of like trying to use some sort of like face generator to get a 3D model. And so that kind of adds a little bit of work to take a 3D scan of a face and like chop it up and basically rig it. But you know, the plus side is just it looks a lot more natural because it's a photographic texture and the face like has all the unique, you know, geometry of each person. So basically the way we're thinking of shooting this thing, we did a kind of like a practice run today where we're basically taking some like really funny video game clips, and over like Discord we would just play the clip like it's a React video and we'd all just chat while watching the clip and just like, you know, crack jokes. And then basically we'll take that, edit it together like kind of like audio only, and I'll use that audio track for the video to then basically animate everything. So it's kind of like doing a cartoon in a way, kind of similar workflow.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do straight up like facial dubbing.
Yeah, I'm face dubbing. Yeah, exactly.
Why not have Clint and Nico use their own phone in that app to do the actual animation capture? I'm sure you've discussed this.
Just it's too many things to deal with there. Like I barely have a grasp on doing it like myself, and so having like trying to coordinate it with 3 people like doing it on different machines. It's above my skill level right now. So, but you know, like, you know, I can do some Nico faces and some Clint face. I'm like, whoa, like, you know, I'll just do that.
No, this is great because now it means that both Clint and Nico are going to be basically caricatures of themselves now, because you're just going to be like, ah!
Yeah, here you can see here. I mean,
Yeah.
this is
Show us
this is
Show
Nico.
something.
This is Nico here. Hi,
So-
I'm Nico.
For people just listening to the podcast, Sam basically just pulled up a weird video game interpretation of me that has like an extra wide mouth and video game eyes
Well,
and a
yeah,
way more animated
the,
face.
The teeth are kind of jacked up. This is the most recent one I'm working on, but
It's crazy
but
how well it
it's-
moves, though.
yeah, well, that's because right now I've got an iPhone down below that's
It's basically
capturing
Gary's mod.
all
It's
my.
Gary's mod Nico. You've made Gary's mod Nico right here. Yep, there it is.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Oh no!
So it's
What's
capturing
gonna
along
happen to
live
this
right there.
guy?
Yeah.
Oh no! What's gonna happen to the video game man? It's like, wow, that's such a cool shot. Wow, I'm so impressed. Oh no, this part really makes me angry because I'm a hardcore gamer.
Now, Sam, is the
So
premise,
yeah, anyways, so
is the premise of this piece that the characters on the couch are video game characters who
yeah,
have played
Whoa, who's
all
that?
these different games?
they're like
Dude, you just revealed
Just
Clint.
revealed Clint.
He was here. He was there the whole time.
yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Clint. Yeah. So right now, it's basically they're it's like we're taking it from the angle that these are video game professionals, like professionals in the video game games, not like so it's fictional. But when we talk about the games, it's like a half blend of talking about real world video game mechanics, and the other half is us making up like this goofy stories from set or the experiences working on these games.
Yeah.
So
That's hilarious.
Okay, so as if you're devs, not as if you're characters who
no, as
like-
if like someone had to physically hold the game camera, or someone had to like actually coach this game character into giving a performance.
Oh,
Yeah,
Or like-
here's an example. So in first-person shooters, you always see some pair of hands. Well, Sam's character is the one that does all the hand acting.
Motion
Like,
blur.
the hands in the Doom 2016, that was Sam. The hands that you saw in Half-Life 1 was actually his big break into the industry. So, like, if you need like a hand guy, like he's got the best reload animations.
video
it's like-
game characters react to CGI
Yeah.
in-game hand renders.
Well, yeah, basically that's one way to put it. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit out there. But the thing is that like all the stuff we're like pulling up in the clips are either like interesting, like familiar clips from games people are playing, like popular games,
Yeah.
or they're like just like really weird glitchy clips that we then attribute those glitches to like someone on set, quote unquote, screwing up their job. And like if physics glitch out, there's like a safety or physics coordinator that wasn't looking out that day.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's how people die, man. You think it's funny, but that's how people get seriously injured.
Yeah, so
That's
the
how
faces are
your
working
rigs
pretty
get
well.
messed up beyond fixing.
Dude, all your bones get detached, and then
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you can't
My
re-rig them correctly.
bones. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's going pretty well. Yeah,
What
as you can
is
tell,
head?
faces.
What is head 3D, Nico?
What?
On the left
Oh,
side.
that's a texture. That's an unwrapped texture right there.
Oh, dude, your head's all like split out. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, that's.
That's the weird like cylindrical unmapping
Oh my
of a human face.
Oh my god!
Like an
That should be your
driver's license
profile
photo.
picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. You can see the sides of my head and the front of my head all at the same
all
time.
at once. You can see even the back of your head.
It's like it's
Yeah.
kind of a profile, but not. It's weird.
That is. Are your
That is
eyes?
Yeah,
crazy.
it's pretty cool.
Or is it just the skin being so massive on either side?
Dude, I just have massive
What?
skin.
Well, I think the
Hey.
amount of skin on.
Clint just keeps creeping up on people in this.
Oh man, Sam's computer is like a frame rate of like 1 right now.
Oh. Yeah. So yeah, this is my little face testing zone where I've got all the faces linked up. It's really creepy. But yeah, so
Wow.
That's pretty
Pretty
impressive
cool.
stuff.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, then let me just show you the last cool part. me screen share again.
Sam's network bandwidth is low. Oh, hey, what's up, everybody? Now I'm on the screen. I'm actually CG. There's Christian.
Oh, no, not responding. Okay, there we go.
They're actually just gonna be seeing the grid view.
So here, this is the cool thing. Oh, come on.
So disturbing.
They just left their
This
mouse
works.
open. They're just like,
Everything's kind of locking up right now for some reason, but
All right, here we go, guys.
oh
no.
my gosh,
Wow,
he got
Jake's
it.
on top of it. How'd you
He
get
was
that?
on
Yo, he
top
stole
of it.
that.
He
Yoink.
stole,
Dude,
yoinked
just
it,
rip those
dude.
textures.
Just freaking yoinked it.
yeah, there you go. Now people can see.
That's crazy.
Okay, here's the last thing I can show you guys. This
Wait,
is
how
cool.
easy is it to make one of those facial map thingies? Like, can you
It takes a few hours to get it working. 'Cause,
really?
there's some easy like stuff that happens at the beginning, but then the hard part is assigning all the blend shapes, which are all the different facial expressions, and that takes a little bit of manual labor. Anyways, here's the fun stuff here, which is our virtual studio.
Oh yeah, because we had somebody come in and do a
Oh,
LiDAR scan,
wow.
right?
Whoa,
Wow. So
dude, that looks
so,
better than the last time I saw it.
the studio looks like
it
just a straight up
looks-
picture, like you're actually
Yeah,
there.
yeah, for real.
So I'm not gonna like really show it like in full because there are a lot of glitchy parts. But
Mhm.
when you throw in some like depth of field like this,
Yeah, it looks
on
real.
your camera, it starts
That-
to look
yeah.
pretty natural again.
The fact that like
So-
when you scan the studio, that you also just get all the lighting baked into it, so just get actual photoreal lighting. It really goes a long way towards making it look good.
Yeah. So this is. There we go. Oh, there, nice and like nice depth of field there on these
That
characters.
focus control is awesome.
Yeah, man, Unreal has such good like graphics capabilities. It's pretty crazy. There's always that issue in video games where like the stuff that's out of focus, like that's in focus, like the edges blend into the out of focus background, and so you see
Yeah,
like this
do you see-
halo.
So for those of you guys who don't know about this,
There we go.
basically what we did is a couple of months ago, we had a guy with a Leica BLK 360 camera come by the studio, and he did a full LiDAR scan of the entire studio, and then using this software system that they have, basically linked together all these different captures that he got from around the studio, which created one single huge
Environment,
resolution
just
image of our studio that has all adjustable lighting and all adjustable focus and all adjustable space where you can place the camera within that 3D space.
Mhm.
And so we're using that to like create our set,
Yeah.
if you
And
will.
actually, here's one last
virtual
thing.
scene.
The last thing here, which is we can't do a React video without that green couch. I showed some of you guys this last week, but I made sure that the couch is like super on point. So you can take a look here.
It's good color. You nailed the
dude,
color.
it's legit.
Yeah,
so-
it's so funny.
I like
good
that you can
looks.
see the photo
The
scanned
actual
couch right in the
yeah,
background
yeah,
there.
The actual couch is
Yeah, for
behind it.
But I don't know
comparison.
you can see how super high res,
Jesus.
Yeah,
the
it's
most
crazy.
high res of like
It's got the
couch
textures on there
textures.
and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like actual. It's such a good detailed leather texture.
yeah, it's one I
Is
think
it,
it's a
is it
alligator
polygon.
skin?
Is this a model of a couch, or did you
It's a
scan?
it's a model. It's the closest one I could get.
Okay.
That was free.
Yeah.
There was like a nice one that was like $100, but that was like identical to there's the
Yeah.
actual couch in the background.
In the background.
Just sitting there in its spot.
See how glitchy it
That was
looks.
so jank.
But yeah, with the right textures on it, it's like, wow, that's pretty solid looking. And I got that like the nice material setting, so it's got that like leather shine to it. But yeah, so it's pretty crazy looking. It's like it kind of looks like we rendered it in like Cinema 4D or like an actual like good rendering application.
So
But it's all real time.
say that this video is like our foyer into this technology, and then we want to go out and we want to make another one. If we want to make a video that's set in, say, a space environment or what have you, where do we get the actual set from?
Oh geez. Well,
Like, how do
I
you
mean,
do you
it's
render that in
no, it's basically the same way you do it any other way. You gotta find some assets and you gotta put materials on them and you gotta drop them in.
Okay.
So
But isn't that going
the
to end up looking very video gamey?
I mean, it depends. It really depends. You can put a lot of work into it and it won't. So it depends on what you're trying to go for. It's like, if are you going photoreal? Well, then put a ton of time and money and effort into it. And if you're trying to go less photoreal, then it's pretty easy.
Also, video games tend to look like video games because they're so optimized to be able to run at real time at high frame rates on most machines. Whereas
Yeah.
if you know you're only going to be doing this on like one powerful machine and you can kind of get away with doing a really low frame rate because you're just going to compile all the frames together, it's like you can actually crank those settings and make it look really good.
Exactly. Well, currently this is all the whole studio set I have built here is running at like I can run it at like 60 FPS in real time. And I probably could push it a little further just fine. But yeah, like I'm using these super high polygon like models for that. The scan is not optimized for like real time stuff. But as Bren was saying, like if I'm rendering and making camera angles and cuts and actually setting up like a cinematic, at the end of the day when I want to render it out, there's a feature where basically it will just render it frame by frame, and but even still the frame by frame is almost still real time. But that way it outputs it at a nice smooth frame rate.
So what kind of, if you could do a series with this tech, what kind of series would you want to make with it? Like say on the Corridor channel.
Anything your heart desires.
No, but what do you desire? Since you've been the one who's been playing with it.
What do you desire?
I already
I
thought
don't
of like 3 different things that we could do.
I don't know. I mean, there's plenty. We could do that. We could try that Mars Gang one since I already built out a ton of
That's the first
sets
one
and
that came to
assets
my
for it.
head.
Mars Gang would be perfect for this.
Yeah, that's weirdly
Yeah.
the first thing that came to my head.
It would. I would. Yeah, for that. Like, the only thing that gets tricky when you start doing this real time stuff is like when characters interact with objects, because, it quickly could look like a video game if it's like,
All of a
I'm gonna
sudden,
grab something
yeah.
and then and it like sticks to their hand, and like getting that kind of stuff smooth is honestly like the hard part.
What are the logistics of like shooting green screen assets for it? Is that impossible,
Yeah.
or is that useful?
Like a live play.
Yeah, live plays,
like live
yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be like a normal green screen shoot, basically. You're still have all your issues of like matching lighting and all that kind of stuff, and tracking. Maybe not tracking your camera so much.
Yeah, but you can
because-
adjust the lighting and the.
Well, it's like I don't want my world to have the same shitty lighting that we're using on a green screen set. You know what I mean? We can do that.
I mean, what if you just you build up the tools in your video game to replicate the lights that you have available to you in real life, and then you just make sure that you're lighting with the same things.
Yeah, you could, but you still deal with that issue of like, all right, well, like what's going to be real? Like, are the tables and objects you're going to interact with?
Well, say
real?
we want to do
suddenly
Nico's field that he's got in this background reminded me of a PUBG series that we could do. And say there's a man running around inside of like a.
Okay, if he's running, well, he's not. It's not a green screen.
Okay, but
You know what I'm saying? Like instantly, we're like, hold on.
It's a series about a character in a battle royale environment, and he's running around. He's interacting with objects, obviously. So, wouldn't be that hard in terms of like, oh, we need a house where somebody can go into. We need home, like residential objects, game objects that you can interact with. So,
I would say the moment you have a live character, I think you don't want to use Unreal, because I think you want to use like Cinema and Octane, and like you have a real flesh and blood person, so you want your environment to look as like physical as possible. And Unreal like can get really close with some tricks.
Okay.
But I would say at that point you might as well just like do your scene with
I've been really
740.
wanting to do a scene like that, but on the moon, because I want to do this video about the moon, and it'd be really cool to be able to talk as if I'm standing on the moon while saying whatever it is I'll be saying, with a moving camera on a green screen using Vive trackers and as much virtual reality, virtual production stuff as possible. But
so then, do we need anything real, like gray dirt and a moon suit, or like, or what? do you actually capture anything live or other than yourself?
Whatever's not on a green screen, anything not keyable would be captured. So you can do that where you have like a floor.
I totally forgot to mention this. But I'm not going to say how I have it or who gave it to me. But
okay.
I have
Way
an
to
app on
tee
my
it up.
phone right now that
TikTok.
will record video. It will record video and record a
For the-
3D camera animation of the camera move at the same time. And it's currently working. I haven't
Awesome.
done
Like it
anything
actually
with it.
works.
Finally.
Have you
I'm
done
looking
tests
at it
with
right
it?
now. I have it open right
Ben
now.
and Nico's eyes
And I
just
set my
bulge
floor
out.
plane. I set my floor plane. All right, boop. And then I hit record on my video, and it's got it. The whole environment's 3D tracked, and it syncs that up to your video.
Whoa.
I have it working right here.
So
And
later
how do
on, you
you-
put it in your computer, and then you can just drop your visual effects objects into the scene without having to track the scene.
Yes, you don't have to motion track it. It just
Should
Should we
all
go
there.
back and
Glorious.
re-upload
But how does that data?
things
how
that
do
should
you-
be in cameras video?
It saves the data to your phone, and then you export it or
You have
send
to
it from
mount
there.
the phone to the
phones-
camera or something.
How are phones so much better than like professional cinema cameras these days? Like,
Well, because it's using a million frickin' sensors in here, dude.
I know, but
Yeah, and
geez,
the
like the
processing
phone's,
power.
phone's
Also,
$1,000.
Limited
We live in-
lens selection helps, where it's like they know the exact calibration of the lenses on here. That helps.
Yeah.
The moment you start putting your own stuff on there, it's over.
You've seen how like phones have like 3 or 4 lenses on them now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, like I made this prediction about 10 years ago that in about a decade, we're not going to have cameras. We're just going to have
gonna have
lenses with a chip on the back. And this is actually kind of becoming that. They just put all the lenses into one package rather than having a box of individual lenses. Here's just a cube that contains all the lenses, and the chips just permanently across all of them onto the same computer. So you just have a lens box that you're pointing at things. You just decide which processing chip you want to use, because the imaging chips aren't the expensive part. The lens is the expensive part. So at a certain point, the camera is going to be like, the chip on the back of the lens is going to be a couple $100. The lens itself is like a $8,000 lens. Yeah, we're getting super close to that. It's taking
Yeah.
on the form of a bunch of lenses packed onto the front of your phone right now, but
Whoa.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I should shoot and like render a little demo so you guys can see the quality of the track on this sucker.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
I
curious just like how
get
much it
the app?
sucks.
What?
Can you give me your source for this app? Can you like?
I'll have to do it. Let's sidebar that conversation.
Offline.
Let's just say you probably know exactly who it is already. Anyway, yeah. Me. I made it.
Hey,
No,
you
I'm
guys want
stupid.
to
I couldn't do it.
end with a trippy futurology conversation to wrap up this podcast?
Yes.
Sure.
Sure.
All right, cool. So you guys are familiar with like neural networks that can identify an image, right? So like if you go into Google and like you upload an image, it can say like, this is a picture of a boy or a picture of a tree or, whatever, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, it's just an arbitrary thing. It's based around a computer just learning how to apply different weights and values to different clumps of pixels, that have a correlating pattern to being an object. Like a tree tends to be green, it tends to be vertical, it tends to be wider on the top and the bottom. And like, it's not that explicitly of a defined pattern, but that lends itself to creating a pattern that eventually a computer can recognize. So some people were like, it'd be interesting. What if we made a noise pattern that like on a per pixel basis, you can put on top of an image and it just changes like the values just a little bit to basically imbalance that neural network, which is literally just a series of, weighted networks. Basically it imbalances that and changes the output. So you can give it, say, a picture of a house and it'll return, this is a bus, just because like you revalued some pixels a little bit in the correct pattern throughout the screen. It's something that like the AI measures until it gets the result. And it's called an adversarial noise pattern, where visually it looks exactly the same. It still looks like a picture of the house, but everything's been tweaked so slightly in a certain pattern that the visual code basically contains a hack to break the AI. Just how like, back in the day with dial-up modems, you pick up the phone and you'd hear the noise, and that's the data as noise. This is the data as a visual noise pattern.
That's literally programs hacking programs.
Exactly. And it's a piece of data represented as visual noise, but when interpreted by the AI, it becomes data again. And then it breaks the AI. It's almost like it's not a virus, but it's kind of like a similar thing where like it's kind of a hack. Now,
Yeah.
the question is, because a neural network does kind of emulate how our neural patterns work, can you make an adversarial noise pattern that affects people?
That affects people?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say absolutely, because there are already so many
Yeah.
different illusions and stuff like that that mess with our brains, that freak us out. Like, you know, like the patterns of like all the little dots, and you see darkness between them, but it's not actually there. It's like you can totally come up with some sort of like design thing that'll just like brainwash you.
Here, let me pull one. Let me
Maybe
pull
not
one up.
brainwash.
Let
But
me pull one up.
Ouch, my
No,
brain.
there's already stuff like that though. Have you seen that that image of that painting of the two old? Well, there's a bunch of stuff. I
got one. I got a picture right here that like is kind of just that. It's just an adversarial noise thing. Like if you're to feed this to a computer, it'd probably recognize exactly what it is. But if I show this to you, you'll look at it from afar and be like, yeah, that's just a picture of some junk. And then you'll try to look at it more closely. And I dare you to identify a single object in this picture. From afar, it looks like a bunch of just objects. And you're like, yeah, I can figure out what these are. But when you look at it here, let me just share my screen. Identify.
Oh, snap. Okay.
I want you to identify one
Oh
object.
man.
Here you
Okay.
go. All right, ready? All right, share.
But you're saying a
Wait, where's
computer will be
no,
able
that's
to.
my desktop. Let me try this again.
What the?
What is
What
that?
is
I don't even look at that and see like those are a bunch of objects I can recognize.
That looks like a deer.
Kinda looks
Head
like
of a
garbage.
deer.
going on this desk?
I see an ear in there.
What is this a picture of? It's like, is there a garbage bag in there? It almost looks like some presents.
It looks like a
junk.
couple of gift bags. It also looks like a hoarder's house. It also looks
It
like
just looks like a terrible
It looks.
Photoshop.
It looks
job.
like grandma's craft table.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
a bunch
yeah,
of like advent calendars and a bunch of plastic bags.
Yeah, it's like there's a bunch of like sewing tchotchkes or whatever, like in the back corner, like on a rack or something. But that's exactly what it is. It's basically just a bunch of little elements from pictures, like cobbled together by an AI in a way that makes sense, like where things would tend to go. But because it's not actually a picture of anything, it's broken when we look at it up close. So to me, that's kind of an example of an adversarial noise network for a human being. Whereas like, you can show it to a computer and a computer would probably identify a bunch of objects in there, but we can't because it doesn't quite make sense. But the thing is like, could you do that? Like, could you train something where it's like, if I play a certain sound or like blink lights at you a certain way, it shuts down all your senses and you can't process something.
Well, we've done the thing where if you listen to your own voice slightly out of sync,
Oh
it
yeah,
like
that's a
messes
great
with your
example.
your
ability
speech
to talk.
goes off weird. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a great example of a totally not that crazy yet totally works example of adversarial noise.
Well, we did that with Ren and the
You're doing it right now.
candies.
Well, that's
We tried to
Pavlovian
train Ren.
response.
That's different. Yeah, that's a
That's an
Pavlovian
adversarial
thing.
noise.
Does this illusion image fall into this category?
No, that's just like, so maybe like if you look close, it's actually something else. That's just playing on general forms and light. Like from far away, it looks like two people, but up close, the details pop out and you see that's something else.
Okay.
They kind of mess with that effect in Watchmen, actually, right? That little blinking flashlight that kind of zoned them out, and
What
like
is it
you took
called?
over.
Yeah, like
you took
theoretically,
over-
that'd be like an adversarial noise.
Yeah, like it was a light, and it kind of basically made them so you could control them, or like kind of zoned them out.
Yeah. Actually, the more I think about Jake's background, the more it actually kind of does seem like it's an adversarial noise pattern. See, so the adversarial noise pattern is the high level noise that makes it look like two people, whereas the actual image isn't that. It's
Is it
people.
two people? Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, it's like two people sitting down with stuff. But like the way that the pattern plays, like our eyes identify the macro patterns of like, oh, here's the general shape of a head, and here's the profile of a nose and a chin and hair. Even though that's not actually what the picture is of. So yeah, that kind of is. Man, human beings are so basic.
Basic, bro.
So basic.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you're talking about here. Let me pull this up. You're talking about this kind of stuff. Like there it is. Like this kind of
Yep.
stuff.
That's exactly it.
So it looks like an image of a truck, but when it breaks down, the AI interprets it totally differently.
Yep.
So what's
But-
the use? What's the usefulness of stuff like that?
Well, one usefulness is that it can help you build a more robust AI. Like let's say you make an AI that can detect deepfakes,
Yeah.
and then you have your deepfake maker. Well, you can just put those together, and once the AI that can detect deepfakes can no longer detect deepfakes, then your deepfake is getting better. So you just play them off each other.
Oh wow.
It becomes an arms race.
Machines
AI
teaching
arms race.
machines.
Machine competition to improve the machines.
Yes, actually, I'm basically just quoting 2-minute papers at this point. But if you guys are into this stuff, you just go check out that guy's YouTube channel.
Great
But yeah,
YouTube channel. Fantastic. Yeah.
Minute papers.
2-minute
papers. Yep. But if anything, the adversarial network the thing that I find really cool about it, or sorry, not the adversarial network, but the adversarial noise, is that it's basically taking what's almost like code, and like fine-tuned elements, and it's turning it into something visual. So it's abstracting it out of it, like the medium that it should be in. But once the AI reads that noise pattern, all that stuff becomes data again. It just becomes, value points. So you're basically translating like a hacked like piece of code that'll break something through one medium into the next. It's like having like a sound that if you play it next to your Chromecast, it breaks your Chromecast. Like it's cool stuff like that I'm like really into. Like imagine being able to show a pattern to like a web camera and then it crashes your computer. Which by the way, happened in old Red cameras. There were patterns that would crash the old Red cameras.
Wait, really? What kind of patterns?
So basically, this is a story a friend of mine was telling me. They were filming at a certain spot up in Griffith Park, and it was like a vehicle following a vehicle. And every time they come around a corner, the camera would crash. And this is the Red one, back when it was basically just like a PC and then like a lens on the front. And they're like, why is it crashing? They're trying different things, and they call it Red. And so, the way Red works is it records into RAW, but it's a type of compressed RAW, where it basically will take different patterns and compress them. And it was these trees. It was the pine needles on these trees that were like impossible for the codec to compress, because there's like all the horizontal lines like bunched together then layered on top of each other. There's no way for like the codec was breaking as it would try to take this visual pattern and like simplify it into the codec, and the camera would crash.
On the Red one?
On the Red one. So it's crazy. Jake, your backgrounds. It's crazy that you could point that camera at a certain picture, and it would make the camera shut down because it couldn't process that picture because of the way the pattern was organized. And I bet you could do the same thing with all regular cameras these days. I bet you could put a pattern towards it that overloads like the processing unit. And that would be really cool. The challenge
there is just finding what exactly that pattern would be.
Yeah.
We could do it on all the facial recognition cameras, man, and then they'd never be able to get us, man.
Dude, they have that. They have shirts you can wear and stuff that like have those patterns that the facial recognition programs look for. So it looks at your shirt and it gets really confused and tries to track that, and your face just goes unscanned.
And now with all the COVID stuff, you can just put on your face mask, dude.
There's that too.
Yeah.
Walk straight through.
Yeah. Now it's socially acceptable to walk into a bank with a gas mask and sunglasses on. Like crazy. Adrian has been doing. I don't know if anybody still follows Adrian on Instagram, but he looks like a Division bad guy.
He goes out there.
He loves it. He loves
it. Up.
He's so into it.
Yeah, Adrian's definitely at the upper echelon of people who take this very seriously.
Yeah.
I think he's just having fun with it.
Yeah, he's like, hey,
he's just walking into banks with gas masks on.
Gas masks and
and his hood up, of course. The hood is always up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, guys. Well, that was a great podcast. Cool. I enjoyed this conversation immensely. And if you enjoyed this conversation immensely, dear listener, please consider subscribing to the Corridor Cast. And if you want to listen to us in the non-video way, if you want to listen to us off of YouTube, well, we are available anywhere that you can find podcasts. So,
including our website, corridordigital.com.
What was that, Jake? What was that?
Every time you gotta say something important, it just goes stretches.
It's like, don't care.
It's the intro all over again.
Including our website, corridordigital.com. Did it do it?
That's
nailed it.
Oh, and then did it on the tail end. You beat it.
Corridordigital.com. All right.
Sweet.
All right. Later, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.